Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to this new energy update for the upcoming 2 weeks. My name is Phina and I'm here together with Shivoso Phoenix. And Shivoso is going to provide us some deep and beautiful knowledge in the section of astrology for the upcoming 2 weeks. As where I am going to take you with me into the energy section of the reading. So combined, we are joining forces to make this one big, beautiful reading for you. So, Shiv, before we're going to begin, do you want to add something to that or say hi?
Well, yeah, for sure. It's such a great thing to be able to do this every 2 weeks. And we kind of, it's been a pretty turbulent time. And so it's really good to be back on track with you, Fina, and doing another one here as we get towards this full moon. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
Good. Good to hear that. And like she said, it is nice for us to get back on track because we have both been traveling and it has been uh, kind of a challenge to get to the right place in the right time for us to set up the reading. So I'm also really, really happy to be back with you. Now, before we begin, I wanted to take just a few seconds together with all of us to feel into the space, to feel into the container that we're setting energetically. So let's just close our eyes for a moment, and we're gonna take about 20 seconds to to feel into the frequency that we are bringing to you in this reading. So you can close your eyes now and put your feet on the ground. And to just for a moment to see for yourself if you can connect to this reading energetically, or to just sit and to receive for just a couple of seconds. And then, if you like, you can take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. Very good. This helps us to get out of our mind and to be in the space that we are providing, because life is busy enough. And for now, you're taking time for yourself to listen to this reading. So, with that being said, I'm going to start off with the energy section and then we're going to move into the astrology part by sheet. Okay, well, I have to say that the energies at this moment are grand and beautiful. The opening of a new dawn has started at the eclipse. Um, it has been sensed throughout the world that there's a more deep connection to the intuitive, especially the energy of Mary Magdalene has been more present in the frequencies, which I see as a beautiful, intuitive, feminine energy. Now, we have been living loads and loads of years, centuries even, under masculine energy. And I'm talking the shadow aspect of the masculine. And I'm not talking gender, man or female. That's very important because I love you guys. I'm talking about that there was a lot of pressure needed, maybe also for us to see our shadow as human beings. And now we are moving into a new era where the intuitive feminine is going to lead. So also within men, of course, the feminine has been suppressed. Like, don't show your emotions too much, and be a man. And what does that even mean without being in tune with also your feminine intuitive aspect? So we are going to step into an era. We are going to learn men and women side by side. So I'm really looking forward to this. As I was on my journey in Spain, I also do channelings. I connected to the frequency of Mary Magdalene, and whoa, I can say that it is a beautiful, beautiful frequency to attune to. So on YouTube, you can also find guided meditations or frequency music that can help you to attune to this beautiful, intuitive feminine energy, and to just sit with that and to see what it stirs up within you. Maybe it will connect you more to your intuition. But also, there has been a tingling of the sensual, sexual energy that arises with that. Because when the feminine arises and she feels more safe, like within the world or within our bodies, there's also a better container for sexuality to flow. And sexuality in a really pure form connects to life force energy. So to feel that within the body is a beautiful thing that can make you um really giggle, be playful. And it has nothing to do really with the aspect of lust. I am really talking about sensuality or sexuality that has been practiced in the old ages. And in this upcoming dawn new era, we are going to reconnect to that. So that is really beautiful. Then I also have to say that even with this opening of this frequency, there is also a second current, like the frequencies of love and compassion, but also a frequency of shadow aspects as ego, hate, um, they are really, really apparent. So the distinction between the two is also more apparent within the world and within ourselves. And it's good to notice that they're there and to see if we can be with those aspects of ourselves without judging or being afraid of them. But then again, we do have a choice within ourselves or what we are going to put out in the world. So, what are we going to choose? Ego and hate, or are we going to choose love and compassion? And especially the last one is a really big one, because compassion is going to give us a different set of eyes to look at other people, because we all have shadows, we all have shadow aspects, and sometimes we're a little bit judgmental of like, hey, what others are doing or what we are doing in certain situations. And then to look at it with compassion and to see where we can change our own behavior. We cannot change the other, but we can be an inspiration for others. So that is something very beautiful to take with you. Then with that comes self-awareness, of course, and to be really honest towards ourselves. Like, okay, hey, if my shadows are rising in the upcoming weeks, and they will continue to do so, then it's very good to be really, really honest with yourself. And yeah, to have reflective moments and to see if there are people that feel safe that you can reflect together, but they also need a certain state of awareness. So there's also some discernment needed there, like who to listen to. Then we have also the self-attunement because, like I said, the frequencies are very apparent. You can see energy as waves that are actually moving through the air, and we can either attune to love and compassion, like I said, or to the other frequency. And by choosing, we are choosing with what we are going to create. Now, very important. I am not saying that when we feel angry that we should not feel angry because then we are spiritually bypassing. So, for God's sake, let the anger be if it's there. Express it in a good, healthy way. But I'm talking more about attunement really energetically. So within your meditation and also when you feel disgruntledness, you can sit with that, you can research it, find out what aspects of yourself are present to learn from or feedback of others. Then I have the possibility for reconciliation, or at least people from the past popping up. We are a little bit in the shift with that, but it can still be there in the upcoming 2 weeks. There is a space for reconciliation, so there's also a bit of a softer energy, but also this will take with it a mirror of reflection. So, yeah, it's up to you. Are you ready for that? And also to feel out, to use your distinction with who you want to do that. Because, really choose also from self-love. Okay, who am I going to open up to, and what door is really closed for me? So, yeah, that's really important. And then last but not least, alchemy. Within these challenging times, the world is in a phase of alchemy. We have been for quite some time. Like I said, the shadow provides some nice, um, some nice stuff for us to work with. It can bring out your biggest fears, your biggest hurts, which is actually the ground for turning lead into gold. We can learn from it. We can learn how not to do things, how we don't want to be treated, how not to treat others, how to respond in certain situations, and most of all, to feel out intuitively what is my next step in my process. Not to do it by mind too much, but yeah, I invite you to come more to your intuitive way of being, and with that, letting it evolve and let your higher self take you on a journey to see where you are in the process of alchemy. And then you can always also ask, like, hey, show me my shadow aspect so I can learn. And by doing so, you are already stepping more into your light. So I'm going to feel for a moment if there's something more to be said from my part. That especially the love and compassion is very important at this day and age, I'd like to say. So see how you can bring that into your daily practice, so to attune to that and to be connected to that. So that was the energetic update. And as always, I am ever so curious to hear what our loving man has to say. Shibozo, tell us the
Yeah,
astrology.
right. Wow, that was a beautiful reading and so timely. The compassion thing and the anger thing. It reminds me that um, we've got a lot of Mars and Pluto happening. And so I'll get into it in the report, but there's definitely something about that combining compassion with anger is like right action. And it's so easy to be angry and frustrated and scared of what's the world is like right now. I mean, we're just pumping the fear, and fear often leads to a reaction of anger and, but aggressive anger and irresponsible anger. Anger rooted in fear is not really very productive, but anger that is rooted in principles can really make some difference and make a change and um, does more good than harm, right? And that be rooted in fear. So a lot of the aggression that comes from Mars, the bad reputation that Aries and Mars gets is rooted in the fear. It's reactions to fear using violence and force. Um, so yeah, we're coming up. I mean, we've been in a pretty Aryan time. All the planets have been kind of cruising through Aries and doing conjunctions. So we finally got the sun into Taurus, and that's kind of brought things down a little notch, but it's still super intense times. I mean, we are still reeling from the eclipse. Definitely those influences are going on, and this is the first full moon after the eclipse, so a month later, right? And we're still getting a lot of the echoes of um, that eclipse, that portal opening, and it feels like to me like kind of like this tide that's lifting everything up. It's like pushing things up, and high tides, extreme high tides can also create flooding at the coast. So some things are getting inundated and overwhelmed and feel overwhelming. So a lot of us could be kind of struggling with overwhelm. It's been, amping things up quite a bit with the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, which is still in effect, even though they've passed. This is actually on the 21st, we're doing this report. And so yesterday on the 20th, they were exact conjunction to each other. And now they're kind of starting to separate slowly. But this is not the kind of influence where it's like, boom, one day everything happens, right? It's that lifting of the tide feel that is coming. And so it's just got a wave that's going to go through of, it's actually really interesting that Uranus and Jupiter, because Jupiter is so much about optimism and good luck and big picture philosophy and just kind of like confidence and things like that. And Uranus is all about change and radical left turns and innovation. So it's kind of like this feeling of inspirations that can be coming through, and a feeling of more like, yeah, I want to go for it. I'm just going to go for it, and that we want to hold on to and utilize while it's happening, and it's going to keep happening for a while. Mars is just ending its sextile to those two, and so Mars sextile to Uranus and Jupiter was and is adding that out of will, that like, what do I want to out of this, and the fire to it. So everything has a high expression and a low expression of their energies, every aspect and every planet. So this could all go quite south for some people and for some places in the world. And remember, these reports are really about the collective. So you've got a lot of influence from your own chart, what your personal circumstances are, and how you approach this stuff. And that's what I loved about the compassion bit, because if you come at it with those principles and virtues, it's really what we're being asked to engage our highest principles and the highest virtues to get through what we are experiencing for a long time. This is just the beginning. April has been pretty intense. um, the full moon's going to happen at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So it's a Scorpio full moon. And yeah, it's Scorpio has a pretty intense, deep energy to it. It's all about truth and no bullshit, right? But it's also passions, and it can be jealous and obsessive, so it has a deeper connection to truth, to the deep truth, but it also can kind of go overboard, right? So full moon, right, is going to be a little intense. And then just to add in some more fun to it, it's all square to Pluto, and pretty close to square to Pluto. So the sun is square to Pluto and the moon is square to Pluto on the at 4 degrees of Scorpio on the 23rd. And so during that week, initiating around that time, a lot of our unconscious material, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. And so it's going to have that like truth, whether you like it or not. It can also bring up our unconscious, repressed patterns, things that we've held down in the unconscious that need to come out. There's been a lot of that kind of happening lately because of the relationship between Mars and Pluto, which I'll get to in a bit. But so yeah, Pluto is associated with the underworld, the unconscious and dark power. So it's kind of an epic full moon. I see it as this opportunity of clearing out a bit of the psychic basement we all have. It's going to come up, and how you relate to it, whether you try to repress it back down into the basement, ignore it, or act it out without responsibility, is really different than seeing it, accepting it, and integrating it, because then it becomes a source of power rather than a source of destruction, right? But it's going to come up. That's the kind of Pluto's way and Scorpio's way is like, man, it's coming up. So it's an opportunity for some stuff to be owned and integrated, that Genki shit that is down in our unconscious, collectively and individually, for sure. Things where we're scared or frustrated or angry, but not really feeling empowered to do anything about it. They can just pop out like a um, kind of like a wound that just suddenly, lets all the pus out. So, be cautious, be conscious, and kind of be aware. Um, At the same time, I want to mention something that's kind of a big deal. I'm fronting this early on because it's really just starting, and I think, as I mentioned in my written report, it's like this is going to become a big astrological news deal. But Pluto is also just starting to sextile Neptune again. It's been doing this through a lot of the 20th century, and it really got going with the sextile in the early 1940s, World War II. And then it's kind of going off and on through the 20th century till now. And it's taken a break from like 2002 to 2022. There was no sextile, they weren't in aspect, and now they're back. And so Pluto, the Lord of the underworld, Neptune, the infinite spaces of spirituality and the highest, beyond, right? And they start to kind of work together. And they're going to do this for at least 10 years. And so for a lot of us, it's kind of the rest of our lives, or a really significant portion of our lives. We have Neptune and Pluto sextile each other. And Neptune also, has illusions and delusions. And Pluto is about the truth. So you can see there's going to be some juggling there. There's going to be some conflicts that we're going to be kind of dealing with, of being able to discern truth from illusion. And I'm thinking of like, deep fake stuff and things like that. Pluto's in Aquarius. So this time it hasn't, this is a new part of it. Sure, it's been sextile, but it's been in, with Neptune, but it's been in completely different signs. So now we're doing this whole Aquarius and Pisces, really Aries. So Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius. And so, yeah, we got 10 years of that. And, there's another part to it, because at the same time, it's going to begin to do this um, minor grand trine where Pluto will be trine to Uranus, and Uranus will be sextile to Neptune, and Neptune will be sextile to Pluto. And that goes on from starting in July is when it first starts to, we get little hints of it, and then it kind of moves in and moves out and moves in, and it perfects in 2026. And this augurs a lot of change, like big changes spiritually and worldly. It's not a minor thing. And so, yeah, we're kind of heading into a time of real change, and we can all feel it. I mean, duh, right? The world is definitely changing, and this is all being reflected or being shown to us in the stars as well. But I want to be one of the first guys to say, "Hey, this is coming up," you know? So, and it's just starting now. Basically, the sextile between Pluto and Neptune is just starting, and then it will involve Uranus fairly soon. But the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction is kind of like a little kickoff to that. So later on, after the full moon, and that's all on the full moon, right? So right after the full moon, Mercury slows down and starts to go direct on the 24th and 25th. And it's right next to the north node of the moon, which is our, personal and collective destiny, our fate. It's kind of where we're supposed to be going, what we're supposed to learn in this era, in this lifetime. And so Mercury, the mind and communication means we're going to be talking and thinking a lot about our future and our destiny, which is completely appropriate during eclipse season and during all of this opportunity with Uranus, with Neptune and Jupiter and even Pluto, right? It's an opportunity rather than, oh no, right? Um, we could, now that Mercury's going to go direct and go back through its shadow, we might have some more clarity about that direction and the destiny we want to create, we got our mind aligned with it, and it won't be so questioning because, we're just doing evaluation while Mercury was in retrograde. So now it's going direct and through its shadow until like the middle of May or so. And then we get into new territory in our mind and communication. But this is, the North Node is just going to say, what are we really supposed to be doing here, right? Let's see, on the 28th, Mars will be conjuncting Neptune, which is a pretty interesting energy because Mars is all about concrete, going for it, make it happen, real world, like hit the dirt and make it go. And Neptune is all about the ideas and illusions and thoughts and ideals and spirituality. So a couple of ways that could go, I see best as like spiritually directed actions that come through us, right? And some kind of like ceremonies, spiritual ceremonies would be really good around the 28th, around the end of the month. Um, and then, the shadow side is like we might become really lethargic and kind of lose our focus and our will because Neptune's pretty foggy and Mars doesn't like it. And it's sort of stuck in Pisces, which is where Neptune is most strong. And Neptune's heading into the anaretic 29th degree of Pisces. So it's really kind of amping itself up just as Mars kind of runs into it at the 28th degree. And so we could also have a little escapist tendencies, kind of overindulge in substances and things like that. Try to, instead of having a really awesome ceremony, we decided to just overdose and just get, do a heroic dose and go someplace where you didn't expect. So, be aware on your ceremony, keep it under wraps, keep it within the container if you're going to do that, and try not to, go off on a bender of any kind, because that will be the temptation, man. We've all been getting hit so hard. It's kind of like sometimes some of us may just want to just get real stoned and check out, but that's not going to work out real well for you. The hangover. So on the 29th, Venus crosses over into Taurus, its home sign. So we get some planets changing signs, and Venus gets home, and it's like, yay, sensuality, love, beauty, home beautification, all of the things that Venus loves to do in Taurus, plant gardens and things like that. But at the same time, it starts to come into a square to Pluto on May 1st, the next day, and a couple of days later. So it's already starting on the 29th as it crosses into Taurus. And that's, um, Venus is what we value. It's commonly thought of as relationships and money, which are two things we do give a lot of value to. And so when Pluto squares it, it could be some stuff comes up around money and relationships that you didn't really, that you were trying to hold back. So it's good. It'll be clarifying, but it'll also be kind of like that square kind of makes us do it. And it's just going to happen right around the end of the month, the beginning of the month. So it's a weird beginning of Venus's transit, but maybe I just see it as like this release of the unconscious tensions and hopefully, positive passions that are there with Venus and kind of clear the decks so Venus can really enjoy its trip through Taurus, as it joins Uranus and Jupiter all there, and the Sun all in Taurus right now. Then we get to we have the waning quarter moon um, on May 1st as well. And at the same time, May 1st, Mars enters its home sign of Aries. So we got Mars in Aries, we got Venus in Taurus, their home, Neptune's home in its sign, right? And so a lot of they get empowered there. They kind of get they can work in their most pure forms, those archetypal energies. So Mars, is willpower and assertion and, shadowy, it's aggression and, violence. It's get it done. And so we've been having a lot of Aries energy, but now Venus joins the North Node and Chiron and Mercury now direct all in Aries. And so we're going to have more of this like activity. It actually is a good time to hit the road running. You just got to know which direction you're going to go. And that's that Mercury North Node thing. So be checking yourself. Don't be wasting your time on directions that aren't part of your soul path. Give that minimum attention and really say, what is it I'm here to do? And let's do it, right? So will to action, right? Um, so, at the same time, Pluto stations to go retrograde at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So there's Pluto just in Aquarius, kind of stopping and going back over what we've just done since it went into Aquarius back in February. And so we get to review kind of what we've just got initiated. There's been a lot of um, stuff around Aquarian stuff around collective action, collective thoughts and ideas, idealizations of what we could do, and also technology, right? Innovation, new things coming up. So, the rapid expansion of AI and things like that. So it goes back, Pluto goes back over some of the things we've had in the last few months, and then just touches back into Capricorn in September for just a minute, but it's just starting the station and head back that way. So, it's Pluto is pretty intense, but it's also really honest. It's death and transformation and rebirth. So, the endings of things and the beginnings of things are often pretty intense. And that's what we're experiencing a lot of is the endings and beginnings of things. And that's, like I said, this is kind of our lives from now on. So get good at this stuff. Bring your compassion, bring your principles, act with virtues, courage, honesty, all of the good stuff. And learn that. You got to integrate it. It's like no more time for foolish, childish, and dishonest and nefarious, greedy things. We've got to create the world we want to live in. So Pluto going retrograde. Let's see, on May 3rd, Pluto sextiles Mars. Mars is a higher octave of Pluto. And so that could, have some motivation for impulsive actions that kind of come out of the unconscious, like going for it. It's not as rough as the square we had last October, which is exactly when the war in Gaza started. That's Mars, war, aggression, and all of that repressed fear and anger and trauma and just creating more trauma. This is a little bit smoother, but still has a lot of that impulsiveness. I'm leaning towards it being more of an expression of courageous actions that come from deep inside us to protect and defend the higher side of Mars is the defender, right? Is like boundaries, um, and protecting the softer sides of ourselves, right? And with Pluto there, it could come from our deepest selves, right? From our unconscious desire for a better world. So I see that as also a possibility right around that beginning first week of May. Um, the moon will be sextile the sun on the 3rd as Saturn starts to sextile the sun. Oh, that's not sextile. The new moon is on May 7th. So the moon conjuncts Saturn and Saturn starts to sextile the sun, which means the moon is sextile to the sun. And so that's kind of initiating this Saturnian time as we come up onto the new moon, which is on the 7th, because as the moon exactly conjuncts um, the sun and moon will exactly sextile to Saturn. So on the 3rd, we kind of get Saturn kicked in, and hopefully that's going to bring us some welcome stability to all this turbulence that we've had through April and in early May. Because Saturn is kind of like containers, and it's discipline and it's maturity. And even though it gets a little bad rap because that's some people don't like, when that sort of authority shows up, right? But if we are the authority, if we are self-authoring and we are holding ourselves to the highest principles, then we can actually take all this turbulence and turn it into something beautiful. It's really an opportunity for us to manifest and go for what we really want, for what we know is right. And so I know you've all been having different experiences with this, and some of the amplitude's pretty intense. Um, and we're not out of it yet. Things will continue to cycle and wave, but this next week up to the full moon is another, like, okay, get your journals out and write all this stuff down, because nobody's going to believe all the things that happened this week that initiated changes that we're going to live with for a long time. So make them good changes. That's up to you. That's where the free will comes in. And I just hope that those of you who have been suffering under the intensity of this find some relief and find some direction, because if you have a powerful enough why to do something, you can do anything. That's Nietzsche. And it's true. It's like once we know exactly what we need to be doing and how to get there, then we can be unstoppable. It's just kind of the way the physics of the world work. So yeah, that's pretty much the astrology up to the full moon. It's going to keep on going. I mean the new moon, sorry, up to the new moon. Next 2 weeks is going to be another wonderful ride for sure. Yeah, I know it's a lot, folks. It is a lot. It's a lot for me, just writing it all. It's like, wow, how do I, you know, list all this stuff? And I didn't even talk about some of the what I've been mentioning, the minor aspects, the semi-sextiles and semi-squares, half squares and half sextiles that I've been putting in my written report, which add more nuance and more flavor to all of these aspects. That whole rave was just the major aspects. And so, yeah, it's a lot going on right now for sure. Whew. What do you think of
You do
that?
indeed. Well, I love to listen to you and to hear you rant because there's so much knowledge in there and so much good stuff. And I really also like that every time the things that I'm thinking like, oh yeah, wow, I should have put that in. Every
Uh,
time you
I
pick it up.
know, I know. We could talk for a lot because we go back and forth. There's things you said that just inspired me. It's like, oh yeah, I want to that too. And but really,
Yes.
I just want to give people hints and clues, and really also, hey, if you want to know more, if you want to feel the inspiration that we can offer, please, call us up, get a reading from us, because we love to do that, and we're here to support the community, the world, whoever is meant to contact us, our clan, our tribe, anybody who feels called. because we all need support these days, and it's not just material support, right? We need perspectives, and we need collaborators in helping us stay on track. Because man, I get off base, I get whacked out, and um, I call up Phina, and she brings me back into alignment, and she does the same with me. And we want to offer that to other people because that's kind of our gift to the world and to anybody who wants it.
Exactly. Feel free to contact us. And I'm also I was noticing that something happened with the sound. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the video, but at some moments your voice seemed to be more quiet, and I didn't say anything because you were still there. You know, I
Mhm.
wanted to be on but it could be that people need to amp up the volume a little bit
Yeah,
in
your
today's
voice just did it. So I know that Mercury is still retrograde, and
exactly.
I've been in this apartment where the internet seems to go in and out, and it's odd. We've all been doing the Mercury retrograde dance with the technology. It's like, why is my phone doing
Mhm.
this? What is going on? And then it just sort of fixes itself, or you just sort of deal. So hopefully everything I said can be heard. Call me up if you have any questions. I'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah, and you were able to hear you, but just a little bit less than before. So
Yeah, classic.
it is what it is. Like you say, Mercury
Yeah.
wants to fumble with our technology a little bit. It
You know
likes
what I
to.
think is really interesting is that you and I both like spontaneously decided to travel during this metro
Mhm.
Mercury retrograde, which is most classic retrograde, you know, memes are like, don't travel because it's going to be glitchy, it's going to be weird. And we just went for it because it's also this Mercury's always just the trickster, and it leads to adventures you didn't expect. And
Mhm.
sometimes the best way to handle a retrograde is to go for it. It's like, all right, I'm not scared. I'm going for it, and we'll just see what happens. And yeah, I had my adventures. It was definitely up and down, but nothing really, tragic happened. But it also gave me a chance to be with myself and to go inward out of my normal routine, and some opportunities for insights into my own stuff, a lot of thinking and things like that. So I did a couple reports from
Mhm.
the road, and I'll continue to do some short ones. But yeah, Mercury retrograde every 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 times a year. What's to be afraid of, right? Pluto retrograde, let's go, right? So it happens a lot. And so Mercury was the first one to go retrograde, now Pluto, and we're all forward, and now we're getting a little slowdown, which is might be a little welcome to review and kind of integrate what we've just been through. Somewhat, but it's all still mostly going forward. Hang on to your hats, kids.
Exactly. Let's see where it brings us.
Yeah,
It's
for
so
sure.
nice that you brought that up. Also, for me, it was like on the 20th of March, which is my birthday. Then I really felt like, oh, I'm feeling called to travel, and I have no clue to where or why. Um, but it did bring me to definitely an adventure with so many insights and so many new energies. And like Sheep said, it can, during Mercury, it can try to challenge you, a little bit, by also bringing up your fears and to see if you are going to stick to the plan, or there are sudden shifts, or
Right?
oh, it's really, really interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
stick to your intuition. You will feel what is the right way.
Yeah, I like messing around with it because it does Mercury kind of like does test your equanimity. How much can you take the practical joke of like, it's closed. Oh, you lost your wallet. Oh, the phone won't work. It's like, can you just hang in there and not get blown out? But I did. I had fits. I had a couple of fits when it was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Not now, right? But then it all turned out fine. So it was just teaching me where my edges were. And I'm like, okay, I get to work with it. It's like, all right,
I
I'm
like that.
I'm stronger. I'm more into the, slip on the banana peel and getting up laughing at it, instead of taking it
Yeah.
all too seriously.